Welcome back to the part 3 of the series, and now that we've completed our flight tests, we'll do a quick roundup of what we've found. So the flight test didn't go without issue. One problem that we found was the tendency for the quad to toilet bowl in the automatic mode, so particularly using waypoint flying, but also during orbit mode and occasionally during follow me as well. So this toilet bowl did lead to a couple of crashes and one broken propeller. And in waypoint mode, we could only really fly below 3 meters per second. So it's one of those settings that you need to go into and make sure you don't go too fast, or you're going to eventually lose your quad. A few things to highlight is the usefulness of the Google Maps display. You can see below here. And how easy it is to find a quad that's gone down in the field. You can see both your position and the position of the quad, and you can quickly go along and retrieve it. The other issue I find is below 30% battery power, you cannot perform any automatic functions. So it won't fly in orbit mode, waypoint mode, or follow me below 30% battery power. So you need to be pretty quick on your feet using your available power. Anyway, onwards and upwards, and we'll move on now to discuss a little bit about the supposed 2.4 gigahertz RC control. And here we go.
This quad is billed. We'll just get the box again. As 2.4 gigs RC series. Now, I question that because I couldn't bind with any 2.4 gigs transceiver units. So I started to delve inside to have a look to see if there was indeed an A7105 chip, and there's not. So on this Wi-Fi version, it does not have 2.4 gigs RC control. That's 2.4 gigs Wi-Fi control, but that's a bit ambiguous, that wording on the box. On the other model, which is the X4 Star, this is the 507D. This is the 507A, so there's another model of this obviously as well in production, the 507D, and it does in fact have 2.4 gigs control on. There's a little antenna connector on here and some extra circuitry with an A7105 onto this shield. So that was the real purpose of opening this up. So sorry to say that you're stuck with this and the phone app to control it. Now there is an option in the phone app to use a Bluetooth controller, and I've been playing with that as well. However, the Bluetooth controller I have will not work correctly, and I've spoken to Hubsan and they say there is a new Bluetooth controller, but it's still in development, and so when that becomes available you will be able to fly this with the phone app but using a joystick control. Okay, so now we've been out and we've flown the quad and tried all the features. Really, what do we conclude from this? It's a difficult one, this. Really, what can we say? Pros for this are it's cheap. I think these currently retail for about 70 or 80 pounds sterling, that's UK. So I think about $90, $100 in the US. It's light. It's easy to carry. It's not going to take up any weight in your backpack. Although getting the propellers on and off is a bit of an issue. It's very quiet. So once it's in the air, you won't hear much noise. So it's not going to annoy your neighbours or people out walking close by, etc. It's really very unnoticeable. And I suppose a pro as well is it's very docile and slow. So you're not going to break any speed records with this, and you're not going to do much damage, to be honest, if you hit anything with it. Obviously, with any quad, you have to be careful with props. You can still draw blood with these, but you're not going to cause any serious injury with this in normal circumstances. I don't really understand where Hubsan are coming from, what market they're aiming for with this. The biggest disadvantage for me is that it doesn't have any RC control, so it can't be controlled from a normal controller, and the phone app itself doesn't do this quad any justice at all. It is very, very laggy, slow to respond to commands, very limited range, 100 meters at the best is what I've found before it just goes into return to home mode and comes back. It's using the same chipset as the H507A, and it's got excellent range with the Wi-Fi. So this is using the Atheros chip, the same as the other device, so I'm not quite sure why it's so limited in range. Other cons, the phone app itself is an issue, although that's not specifically for this this quad, but if you're using a phone app, you're really going to struggle in bright sunlight unless you've got a shade over the phone. The information that the phone gives you, the pop-up messages are much too short. You don't have a chance to read them before they disappear. Things like that, but that's not specifically really to do with this quad. The battery is obviously an issue as well. Use a proprietary battery with a proprietary charger. It takes 90 minutes plus to charge. So to make any use of this quad, you're going to have separate batteries, and you're going to have to pay for those, and I think they're currently retailing, if you can find them, for another £15 a piece. So you could very quickly spend the same amount on batteries for this quad as the quad costs outright. But it's I suppose another con is that it's docile. It is just far too slow. It doesn't excite me at all. It might be good for a beginner. It might be good for somebody that just wants to put the quad up there and take some photos. The video was very shaky. The whole quad is not stable. Really, I've seen better performance from just the standard H507D, the little mini micro quad from Hubsan. So if you're looking for a Wi-Fi enabled quad, or a Wi-Fi only controlled quad, and you haven't got much money, well, this is a starting point, and it will certainly get you on the road to flying. But I think at the end of the day you will probably end up being quickly bored of the quad, and you'll certainly be moving on to something else. Props. I stripped this down, as you saw previously. To get these props off was a nightmare. They're all got Loctite, blue Loctite on all the threads. I managed to get 3 of the props off without stripping the heads off the screw. The third one just stripped the head off straight away. I had to drill the screw out and then remove the stud by heating it with a soldering iron. So that took the best part of an hour to do that. And I've since removed all the Loctite from the threads. There's no point in having thread locker on a quad of this size, in my personal opinion. So that's it anyway. It's thanks for Bangood for providing it for review. Say, if you want it, the link below is where you'll find it from Bangood. And I hope that's been of some use in helping you decide whether this is the quad for you. Thank you very much.